BlogTalkRadio.com.
What's going on, y'all? You're back. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. That's what we do best. Matter of fact, I got CNN on right now. Romney's in Colorado. Courts, Colorado. I wonder what his crowd looks like. You know, it's so funny. You guys ever realize that when you watch these politicians on TV speak or give their speeches or stump speeches, they always have the camera zoomed in on the candidate. They hardly ever zoom out and show the audience. You know, Ron Paul, you could do a 360-degree turn and see there's people all around. You know, it's just funny. I just found that funny. Speaking of Mitt Romney, his home state, Massachusetts GOP moves to invalidate caucus ballots. This is at Boston.com yesterday. A month after Mitt Romney's loyalists were trounced by supporters of Ron Paul in the former governor's home state caucuses, the Massachusetts Republican Party is trying to invalidate some ballots. The move, some say, could oust Paul backers and send more Romney representatives to the GOP nominating convention in Tampa in August. It has infuriated rank-and-file Republicans who accuse establishment insiders of bending the rules to their own benefit. Just because you didn't like the outcome of an election doesn't mean you overturn it because you have the power to, said a state committee man, Stephen Sikowski, which amen to that. Much of the ire is directed at a challenge in the 5th Congressional District where Romney lives and where all 6 of his selected delegates and alternates lost. A member of Romney's slate contends the results should be thrown out because the caucus chairman failed to get all the participants to sign in. And whose fault is that? A 14-member GOP committee is expected to consider whether the results should be counted this week. Inflaming the situation is Republicans' decision not to count provisional ballots in any district. The provisional ballots are those cast by voters whose registration could not be confirmed on April 28th, the day of the caucuses. Paul supporters say it's a maneuver by the party to diminish their influence. Even if the factors change the makeup of the delegation that Massachusetts sends to the Republican National Convention in Tampa, they will not affect the Republican nomination for president. Really? Really, Boston.com? They won't affect the nomination. Then why is it a big deal? Why is this a big deal at all? Why are they going through this when everything was done, from what we heard, legitimately in Massachusetts? So what's the problem? Again, you don't like the results, so you're going to try and change them because you guys know Mitt Romney's nomination is threatened. Based on Romney's strong primary win in Massachusetts, delegates to the convention are all committed to vote for him, and Paul has dropped out of contention. But it could weaken the voice of Paul supporters who had hoped to influence the party platform. Ed McGrath, the Romney-backed nominee who lost in the 5th District, is chairman of the committee that will take up the ballot challenge on Tuesday. He said last week the challenge in his district had nothing to do with manipulating the outcome. In an attempt to dispel that perception, he withdrew from consideration as a delegate. I don't think it's an effort to get the Romney slate back on, he said. It certainly isn't for me. The delegates for the National Convention were selected in caucuses held in each of the congressional districts. Romney advertised his support for a slate of 54 delegates, 3 delegates, and 3 alternates in each of the 9 congressional districts. But Romney's slate was overwhelmed by Paul supporters who have been posting similarly strong showings in other states. So this guy says, oh, yeah, it has nothing to do with the outcome. Nothing to do with that. What does it have to do with that? You guys are just trying to be fair. Why don't you speak up about all the unfairness going on in the Republican Party, in the GOP nationwide then? Talk about all of it. They're such liars, man. They talk to us like we're idiots. And you know what's even sad? Some of us are idiots, and we believe this. We believe the stuff that we read and the stuff that we hear. And it's amazing that they're trying to lie and say that that's not the reason why they want to have it done over again. It's ridiculous. Anyways, what else is going on in the headlines here? Let's see. Hold on, you guys. I'm getting a little reverb here. Okay, I'm back on now. Apologize for that. Sometimes Skype acts up, and I just need to hang up and get right back on. So what other headlines do we have here? Bad debt banks should go bankrupt. This is at theirishtimes.com. Rules of capitalism. If banks obey the rules of capitalism and make a debt that they should go bankrupt, the outspoken U.S. financial analyst and former stockbroker Max Keiser said in an event at Dublin yesterday. They should go bankrupt. Quote, if they are capitalists, they should obey the rules of capitalism. If you make a bad debt and screw up, then you've got to pay the consequences. You can't go to the government and get a bailout. That's not capitalism. That's not even socialism. That's crapitalism, Mr. Keiser said in the talk marked by black economic comedy. Mr. Keiser also referred to the case of Anglo-Irish Bank, saying there was no such thing as a bond ferry, which should have allowed the bank's unsecured bondholders to get paid. There is no argument that can be substantiated for paying off that bond. And again, this is at the Irish Times. Max Keiser speaking the truth. You know, you cannot call people out on Occupy Wall Street. You want to say it's capitalism, but you can't get bailed out and call that capitalism. It's not the true definition. It's totally something else. We call it fascism or corporatism, whatever you want to call it, but don't call it capitalism. All right, what else we have going on? At Press TV, occupiers to rally against police crackdown during a NATO Chicago summit. Okay, and we might come back and play this clip. There's a little clip for that. Let me see how long this is real quick. They are planning to take to the streets on Sunday to show their anger police crackdown. Okay. Occupy protesters are planning to take to the streets on Sunday to show their anger police crackdown during the NATO summit in Chicago earlier this month. Ed Needham, who was a member of Occupy Wall Street, says the protesters in New York and around the country will hold rallies to denounce police treatment of the protesters during the summit. Speaking to Press TV's U.S. desk on Sunday, Needham said, today we have a number of different events to reaffirm to ourselves and to reaffirm to the rest of the country and the world that we will not stand for this type of treatment. We will reject this type of oppression and repression. Okay, so that's at what is this? This is at Press TV. You know, we gotta protest the police crackdown, the police brutality that's going on that some people don't want to recognize, but it's definitely out there. We've been reporting it here. It's getting crazy. Okay, what else? What else is going on? Robin Kroner, founder of the Blue Republican Movement, was interviewed here by United Press International. Let's see here. Politics 2012, Ron Paul's strategy keeps things interesting is the headline. When he bowed out of actively campaigning to capture the Republican presidential nomination, Ron Paul said he wasn't interested in disrupting the party's national convention in Tampa, Florida in August. Coroner attributes Paul's popularity to the fact he's like a breath of fresh air in today's politics, has held steadfast to his principles, and has been, quote, correctly identifying for many years the true drivers of state of this nation and the state of American politics, unquote. A physician, Paul has taken the first do no harm maxim into the political realm, and his followers think maybe we should try that. There's just so much passion for him, Kroner said. Anyways, we're headed to a break. I'm your host, Paco. You're listening to Occupy the Media. We'll be back.
Dr. Ron Paul, more than 4,000 babies delivered. A man of faith, committed to protecting life.
This whole notion of life not being valuable just is something I was never able to accept. I happened to walk into an operating room where they were doing an abortion on a late pregnancy. They lifted out a small baby that was able to cry and breathe, and they put in a little bucket and put it in the corner of the room and pretended it wasn't there. I walked down the hallway and a baby was born early, slightly bigger than the baby that they just put in a bucket. They wanted to save this baby. So they might have had 10 doctors in there doing everything conceivable. Who are we to decide that we pick and throw one away and pick up and struggle to save the other ones? Unless we resolve this and understand that life is precious and we must protect life, we can't protect liberty. I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
This national poll shows that Ron Paul is the best candidate that stacks